Hi guys, welcome to Career and Corporate Hub. So today's interview is different. I have two gentlemen. My very first interview with two people. Let's see how that is gonna go. So I was actually asked in one of the high schools that I went to talk to the kids. They asked what is the difference between computer science and IT. Hence, I have two people who studied computer science and the other one IT. Welcome, gentlemen, to Career and Corporate Hub.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yes. So we're just gonna start with the upbringing. Bonga, I'm gonna start with you.
Sure. Thanks, Kodani. As you all know, my name is Bonga Ngongi.
Yes.
I am 35 years of age. And so upbringing, I grew up, I was born in Butterworth. But very early in my life, we moved to East London. So I think I was about 5 years old when we moved to East London.
Yeah.
And from there, I went to Hudson Park, which was at that time like Model C schools, right? So struggling with English, struggling with getting to know people, moving into East London. So went to Hudson Primary, went to Hudson Park as well. High school.
High school.
Yes,
okay.
Primary and high school.
Yeah.
And then I went to university. So I went to CTI, but I did correspondence learning through University of Greenwich.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
University of?
Greenwich,
Oh, okay.
yes.
First time I hear about it. That's why I asked again. Okay.
Exactly, yeah.
I think I'm gonna move to Sphamandla.
Yeah, so my name is Sphamandla.
Yeah.
I am 29 years old.
Okay.
I was born in Johannesburg. Born and raised there.
Okay.
Yeah, so I went to St. Catherine's. It's a school in Joburg in the East Rand for 12 years basically. Same school. Yeah,
So for you, how many years?
Right through 12 years.
From grade 1?
From grade 1.
Okay.
From grade 1.
Yeah. I thought you're from East London.
No, everyone thinks that.
I'm better than
No, yeah.
Okay.
I went to university in PE.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's why
how
everyone
it got.
thinks that you're
Yes,
from here.
yes.
So Bonga studied IT and Sphamandla studied computer science. So I believe you both did science and maths in high school as your major subjects.
Yeah. So for me, computer studies, in high school, it was called computer studies at that time.
Yeah.
And really focusing on the basics of computers. So hardware, software, the differences between the two.
Yeah.
Did science as well, but I also did business studies. So I wanted to combine my IT with the business side of things.
Okay. So definitely you knew from high school that you were going to do IT or computer science.
To be honest, no. So we had the opportunity where the CTI agents, they came to Hudson Park High School and they advertised the organization. And they told us basically, this is the curriculum. It's a BSc Honours in Information Technology. And then I went through the subjects and then I consulted with my parents. They felt that at that time, back in the early 2000s, going into IT, they were not sure themselves, but give it a try.
Like what was the future? Looking at, back then.
Exactly. So it was very early days back then.
And for you, Sphamandla in high school?
So for me, I took physics and mathematics in high school as my key subjects. I also took maths paper 3 in matric to write the exam on it. In high school, I actually didn't know I was going to go into computer science. My focus was mechanical engineering.
Okay. I think most kids want to do either engineering, medicine.
Yes, or law.
No.
Yes, those are the 3 fields. So I wanted to do mechanical engineering, but I've always experimented with computers since I was young. I didn't even think it was a career path.
You had a computer at home?
Yes, since I was like 10 years old.
Okay.
It's a big game changer. When you have a computer from being, I didn't even know you could have a career in computers.
I'm sure you were DJing.
I did at a certain point as well, by the way. With virtual DJ and
all the kids with computers, they felt like they were going to become a DJ.
Yes.
Okay. And so what really motivated you?
Yeah, so from my side, I was fortunate to meet a guy by the name Professor Khreling, who was the head of the computer science school in Port Elizabeth at the time.
Okay.
So after my matric, he actually invited me to come and see the department. And that's how I actually realized it's actually a part of the stream.
You met him in high school?
I met him just after finishing my high school, so in grade 12.
Okay.
And then I applied different universities, and he said I could come and check it out in PE. So I went to PE at the time with Gaweka now, and he showed me around the department. And my interest was literally taken from there.
Yeah. And doing computer science in varsity, what did you think you were going to work as?
Me, a data scientist.
Okay.
But it was mostly because of the fact that there was so much hype around it at the time. So I coupled my computer science studies with statistics. And I think that was also a key thing. So I did mathematical statistics and computer science.
Wasn't that hard?
And information
I heard it's
systems.
very hard.
Mathematical statistics?
Yes.
There were 10 of us in the class.
Okay. Tells you.
You know, the lecturer told me something very key from the start.
Yeah, what is it?
He said it's a thinking thing. So it's a way of thinking. Just like computer science and statistics, it's also a way of thinking. So once you master the way of thinking, then everything else follows.
Okay. And just to start, before we get more into computer science and IT, what is IT? Information technology.
Yeah. So
what is it?
You just said information technology. So in very layman's terms, it's like your hardware. So your hardware is all your physical components. So you have a screen, you have a monitor, you have a keyboard, a mouse. That's your hardware.
Yeah.
Then you have your software. So your software is all the applications running on your hardware. Then you have, for example, your processes that make sure that your software is compatible with your hardware. So IT is a combination of your hardware, your software, making sure that from a information perspective, it's stored on your PC with the right amount of space and running the correct applications that you want.
And I believe you can work anywhere because every company works with computers.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's also interesting how IT has evolved. So, as far as mentioning data science now, in an organization where I work, data science is a new buzz topic, you know. So we had to start with computers in my organization. We had to start with computers, make sure that the computers are able to support the business. Then once we stabilize in that environment, then the data science leg or the computer science leg comes into play now, which is the innovation space.
And what is computer science?
So computer science is more concerned with the theoretical foundations of computing. So the two complement each other, and there are actually significant overlaps from time to time. Okay, the mathematical aspect of computers, the statistical side of computers, as well as the programming. So it's more software architecture, programming, algorithms.
Like your Java something.
Yes, Java for developing, Python, but both leverage those technologies to
I was
write
about
code.
to ask, like, do you also do programming in
IT?
Yes.
It's in both.
But what makes it different? I still can't really understand the difference.
As I highlighted, it's more the theoretical framework or foundation of computers. So if you think of it more, it's looking more at bringing new concepts into computing. Whereas IT could be using those concepts. So if I take a simple example, if you have to optimize a business process that is currently manual, and maybe you could use the data there to improve the process, the computer scientist would come with a model or a group of algorithms that you would use that data on to optimize that process and test different aspects. And you mentioned AI earlier on, so this is machine learning or AI, maybe applying some concepts from machine learning to improve the process and test and run pilots and run proof of concepts and see if there's value add. Once it's time to roll it out and scale it in production, typically the two roles would work together. Because as Bonga said, you would then put it in production and make sure it's running in the correct environment on the correct equipment with the correct amount of resources and that the business is using it.
So basically, IT would roll it out, you would create the algorithm.
The algorithm, or leverage existing algorithms to improve the process.
Yeah.
It's like in mathematics using
for me.
it's like in mathematics using a formula to solve the problem.
Okay.
The computer scientist would be more interested in that formula.
I would look at it as like a scientist working in a lab.
Pretty much.
Try and formulate something.
Exactly.
And then once whatever they're formulating works, so they hand over to somebody that's going to implement.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's like simple terms.
Simple terms. We try to simplify.
Yes. Okay. So thank you. And which one is better?
This is the thing. Okay, well, maybe you can answer first.
Yes.
I'll be spark, please. Okay. I'll give my input.
Yeah. I personally don't think none of them are better. They just complement each other.
Yes.
They work hand in hand. It's like a material scientist and an engineer. The material scientist would test different materials to make maybe a component that you can use, and then the engineer would make sure that the component is functional within the space it's used in.
Okay, and looking at, for example, the organization that you're working for, do you think you can work in the information technology with computer science, or information technology into the computer science
space?
Yeah,
definitely. So you can see how organizations also are evolving. So now starting to get more awareness in terms of computer science, data science, artificial intelligence. I mean, some people are even concerned with their jobs in terms of, is AI now replacing my areas of responsibility? So definitely, most organizations are implementing a lot of computer science. Like I said, it starts with your IT, and then in the end they start complementing one another.
Okay. And so looking at, now that you are working, do you regret choosing IT? Do you regret choosing computer science?
For me, no. It's actually giving me an opportunity to actually want to study more.
Okay.
So,
and you are studying?
I'm studying. So what I'm studying now is not IT related, but it's more now from the business side and leadership side.
To understand the business.
To understand the business, because I want to complement my skill within the IT space, but also with the business and the leadership side. That's what I see one day will make you a better person when you have a little bit of a best of both worlds. So for me, I don't regret choosing IT. I'm actually interested to study more now in IT. It's forever changing. And I don't know about you, Spa, but it's an environment where you constantly have to keep up to date.
Yeah, true.
Back then, in the early 2000s, we didn't speak about data science or artificial intelligence. It was more like, which route are you taking? Are you taking programming, or are you taking business analysis? And then, but now you see, it's no longer choosing streams. It's like you get a complete package. So
it's almost like you have to specialize as well.
Exactly.
And for you, do you regret it? Are you happy?
No, definitely not. I mean,
you love it there.
Been it's an exciting space. I'm very much interested in AI and machine learning. So the space I'm in allows me to focus on that.
Okay.
I'm also interested in the new career paths that will emerge. I think in the next 10 to 15 years we'll have very different career paths to what we have today.
What do you think could come?
It's already happening. As Bonga highlighted, like in the past we didn't have data engineers. Now data engineer is a thing. We didn't have data scientists. Now data science is a career path. And even in medicine, that's the thing. It's applicable in all spaces.
Everywhere.
Some institutions are actually even exploring the medicine space and actually repurposing that to be biotech. So a combination of medicine with software.
And so the space that you're working in, I know there is high demand, of people to work there, because I think most companies have implemented IT hub in South Africa that works for other countries. Can you explain how that works?
There are different ways to approach the concept of an IT hub. Some organizations focus more on reducing waste. So, for example, internalizing some external processes. And the hubs form as a result of that. And you get significant benefit as a result. So, as we become more software dependent as people, as humans, the knowledge around software is important, and the experience and understanding. So companies that internalize the skill have that advantage in that they own their concepts, they own their projects, they own their software, they own their capabilities essentially. So that was one of the key driving factors to establish the hub, to say we've got a huge talent pipeline in South Africa, in the software space, whether it's IT or computer science, even in engineering, you've got a lot of engineers that come to IT actually. Because of how closely linked these spaces are, or these career paths. So that's one idea. The other aspect could be because of innovation. So some locations feel that if you internalize and have a hub of some concept, you move faster when it comes to innovation. If we take, for example, can I mention Mercedes-Benz? If you take, for example, Mercedes-Benz, one of the key driving factors is the fact that the IT hub is close to the production facility. So it allows for rapid testing, rapid development, and rapid deployment of concepts. That's a key advantage as well. So that's depends on different aspects.
Quite interesting. And now that you mentioned also about you have also engineers working in IT hub, like what do they do?
Also coding. Actually, depending, business analysis, coding,
industrial engineering.
Mostly for me, it's mostly mechatronics.
Yes.
And I think from my observation, and I think it's because of the blend mechatronics has with engineering and computer science.
Yes, I know they do a lot of programming in varsity.
Yes, mechatronics, especially. Exactly.
Okay, and just to go back to Bonga, when you were in high school, you mentioned that there were people that came and spoke about IT. Can you just give more details on that? I think this can help somebody who would like to or they don't know what to study after matric.
So I was also in that situation. So I was 16, 17. And then we had a showcase day, right? So we all went to the school hall, and the different universities came. So at that time, I think it was PE, University of PE. There was the colleges as well. And they showcased more about, I think the focus at that time was...
you have to start at the focus at the time was.
Sure. Okay. The focus
Sorry, folks. Just seconds.
You can have some.
Okay.
You can have some.
All right.
So the focus at the time was really on the engineering side, also on the IT. That's fine.
Some people don't understand when not answering.
Actually
not
exactly.
The focus at the time was on engineering and IT, and I felt for me IT resonated with me. So hence I streamlined my subjects when I was in grade 10, choosing computer studies, choosing mathematics as well. I just felt that it's interesting, right? So then again I consulted with my parents, and my parents at the time didn't really know much about IT themselves, but it was more of I see a future, so give it a try and see.
I mean, what was IT during your time?
Exactly. I mean, Kodani, now we speak about homes that have Wi-Fi, that have PCs. At that time, only a select few had PCs at homes, So then, of course, with consulting with the agents at the universities, I just felt that for me, I want to go into IT. Right?
It makes a lot of sense.
It makes a lot of sense going to IT.
Which was a good option, because looking at where IT is at now, it looks like that's the future. And for somebody who would like to study IT or computer science, what would you advise them?
For me, Spa, you also give it a stab. I think for me, if you want to study IT, so really focus on your mathematics, your science.
That's from high school.
That's from high school, yes. Sorry, that's a question like from a which level? Okay. So
okay, let me ask you again.
Yeah.
So for somebody who would like to study IT or choosing a career in high school, what would you advise them? Looking at the future, like the fourth industrial revolution, artificial intelligence, what would you advise them?
again, looking at those aspects, looking at paying particular attention to social media, the correct social media. So looking at what is happening around the world, I would really recommend choosing a field within the digital space. Not only from a career perspective, but you can also turn that opportunity into business as well. So you could also run your own business while you are working, because that's a flexibility of IT. So there's remote work, you don't have to be at work physically. So if you want best of both worlds, for me, my recommendation is on IT and focusing on your mathematics subjects, your science subjects, your IT related subjects, IS,
information
systems. I think for me that you'd be in the correct stream.
And what is the prerequisite to enter into university, like with your grade 12 results?
I don't even know.
I can't remember.
Really?
Okay.
I can't remember.
It could be like 60. I think that's usually.
I think 60 is safe.
I think 60 is safe. Yeah,
60 is safe.
60% is safe. But definitely majoring in like mathematics, science.
60 is a good benchmark.
And from what you studied in varsity and what you're doing now at work, is it what you expected? Is it aligned? Is it like something different?
So from my side, it's a mixed bag. So certain aspects are aligned. Certain aspects supersede, like my expectations were met. Certain aspects didn't meet my expectation, but it's not specific to the company, it's in general. So for example, the culture around AI within a South African context, I think we still need a lot of work there. That was not what I expected. My expectation was that everyone is running with this thing because it's the future.
I mean, we're still learning what AI is.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. My expectation there was...
You're already in 2030.
That was that's my observation. But that answers the question in a nutshell.
I mean, you are there to educate on, you know, how to grow quickly to get to 2030 or the future.
Exactly.
And for you, Bonga?
So it does. So what's funny, in my first job, I was a technician. So really, you had a screwdriver, and I was literally fixing pieces.
Like hardware. Okay.
So I physically know hardware where you disassemble a motherboard. So that was my first job. I mean, wanted to earn a bit of money during the weekends. So I'm fortunate now where I don't have to do that job anymore. So yes. But it still goes back to what I studied, you know. So I mean, now we've outsourced the hardware functionalities to a supplier, so they deal with the hardware, so we deal with the software. But I mean, you still need to know a little bit about the hardware, so that at least when things are not going okay, you understand. For example, this application is not compatible with this version of your hardware, so you need to understand that.
I was actually going to ask, since you mentioned that you started with the hardware, for somebody that's like coming from university with a information technology qualification, would advise them that they start with the hardware?
So I mean, it's different, Kodan, you know. So I could say for me, it helped me because now at least I started from the bottom. Whereas you get a software engineer who didn't work with the hardware but can write flat out programs, you know. So I mean, it's different. But I think for me, complete all round, I think it molded me. Starting from the bottom with a screwdriver, and
I can relate because with like different companies that I worked for, I worked physically in production to understand the process, and that gave me like better knowledge, you know. And from I think 3 companies, all my mentors advised me that I must go to the line. So I think it helps. I'm sure you did start to do it.
I did, actually.
Really? Okay.
My first 2 use cases were because I spent every day in the production.
Okay. Can you, so it seems like, you know, it's more advisable that you start from the bottom. And that does not mean that you have to spend like months there. I spent like, I think 2 weeks or a week just to understand, you know, what is happening in like the
production line.
That's it.
And
I mean, when you're fresh from varsity, so you've got your grade qualification, you know, you have to start somewhere, you know. So for us, or for me, if I can speak for myself, starting at the bottom with the hardware, the screwdrivers, and just assembling a PC, and going home with black, you know, dirty hands, that for me makes me appreciate, you know, the whole system, you know. So my advice is, if you can, start at the bottom and work your way up.
Sure. See, here you must be taking some notes where to start after graduating. And really, like when I remember with myself graduating, going into company, you know, starting up, I thought like, oh, what is your qualification? I was like, oh no, I've got this qualification, I'm better than you. But they're not looking at the experience that somebody has. And now sometimes I feel like I should have used that opportunity to sort of like suck in a lot of, you know, as much information as possible. So there's a saying that says umuntu ngabantu. I hope I said that right. So do you guys have any projects that you're working on to give back to the community?
So I think before I get to that point, I think Bonga's point is very valid. And if you start with the hardware side of things, it's key. But what is also important to consider is where software is going. So companies have realized that they spend a lot of money on hardware in general. So as Bonga highlighted, most of it is being outsourced in terms of the responsibility. But what is even more key is the fact that cloud is now in the picture. And cloud offers that much required scalability, which you don't have with hardware.
Just elaborate.
Scalability. Okay, so if you have a physical PC and you need more resources to run your program, you need to get maybe a bigger PC or another PC. In cloud, it's a click of a button. And you've deployed a new environment. But the reality is there is someone somewhere at Microsoft or Amazon who's looking after the physical box anyway. They just take that responsibility from you. So you focus on running the software and scaling it. And that's why cloud is such a big thing, because over time you save as a company.
I think most people look at cloud as, well, I own an iPhone, I must have, you know, cloud space.
Cloud storage, yes.
So is that the same thing?
It's the same thing. It's the same thing in a way, because essentially what that means in that case is the storage is not on your phone, it's on someone else's device. And then you're just accessing that device, which is being managed by someone else. So someone at Microsoft is managing that cloud.
That is interesting. And do we have that in like South Africa, for example, like people that are specifically managing cloud? Do we have that?
We do have small cloud providers in South Africa, but it's mostly at a small scale, looking at specific functions within cloud. So if you look at the big players, they've pretty much taken the field. So it's not easy. It's not an easy space to play in. So you have the likes of Microsoft and Amazon competing for space. And they've got amazing cloud platforms that each strategically focus on something different, which makes it difficult for the small players to compete that way. So they tend to, in South Africa specifically, from my observation, they tend to focus on more small functions. So how starting a company that helps another company on board to cloud, rather than building a cloud platform yourself, training your people within your company to understand how, let's say, the Microsoft cloud works, and being a certified cloud provider to a bigger company. That's essentially what's mostly happening.
And what qualification would you need in order for you to work in cloud?
Still the same. It's IT or computer science. Your specific focus then is getting certificates within the cloud space. So you get the cloud certification, which these guys provide. So AWS have got their cloud programs, and Microsoft Azure have got their cloud programs. So that's typically the story. I mean, if I take cybersecurity, which is not cloud, it's the same thing. You do IT or computer science, and then you get your certificates within the cybersecurity space, if that's what you want to specialize in.
And just before we get to the projects, there's actually this question that I forgot to ask about when you have IT or computer science, what titles or positions do you hold at work, like in a company?
I think from an IT perspective, if I just reference a few years back, it was either you're a business analyst, right, in the IT space.
Yeah.
So you're either a business analyst or you're a software developer. So you're a software developer, you work with basically the code. But now I see we've somehow moved away from business analysts and software developers to your DevOps engineer.
No, I think we've added.
Is it?
Actually,
added.
Yeah, the team has become bigger.
Like expanded.
The team has expanded. So in the past, you had a business analyst, which dealt with mostly the business, and you had the software developer. But some projects didn't make it to the business because they're missing the business context. Which is why I said earlier on that I worked in production from the start, because from a computer science point of view, you want to understand the story of the data. So not just get the data, but what does it actually mean? So that you don't write a program that doesn't help the business. So you try and understand how the business functions. That's what your ultimate goal is, to add value. You understand where the gaps are and what you can create to close those gaps.
And then now going back to my question, do you have any projects that you're working on? Bonga?
Can you sort of I'm just thinking while he's answering.
I mean, okay, one of, for an example, you guys are in the IT space, and I know there is like demand in females as well, because like how is the demography in IT?
It's very, very skewed. Extremely skewed. So there are more males than females in the software space. But it's typical, like engineering, right?
It's required,
it's
to get more females,
especially African females. Especially African females.
So what would you advise, like for somebody who would like to follow the same footsteps, but they don't know where to start? More especially as an African female, they feel like they don't have they're not capable.
I would say start with understanding. That's the basics are important. So understand exactly what it is. Like what is programming?
Like research.
What actually is programming? Like what does programming do? If you're a coder, what can you do? And then from there build on. But there are many spaces there that people don't actually know about. Like you can study IT and become a business analyst. So as I was saying to Bonga earlier on, it's more bigger. The space now. So you have a programmer, you have a business analyst, and you have a DevOps engineer in that same team. You have a data scientist in that same team. So the word cross-functional teams is becoming more and more important.
And lastly, is there any question that you think I didn't ask? And if there is, how would you have answered it?
Going back to your question around which projects am I working on at the moment. So as I said, I'm very passionate about AI, machine learning, and data science, and what problems, real world problems that could solve. So a key project I'm working on at the moment is looking at connecting the individuals with qualifications with opportunity. So, I mean, as you understand, we've got huge employment issues in South Africa, and I firmly believe it's something data science can address or can contribute towards addressing. A starting point would be simply understanding what's happening. So how many students do we actually have in institutions within South Africa, and what are they studying, and on the other side, what opportunities are available. So you said data science can solve that. Data science can collect the opportunities and collect the people who need the opportunities, and then already help you understand if the picture is realistic. Which in South Africa it's not. We have people who are studying qualifications and they're sitting at home for years, but on the other side you've got companies desperately looking for people in different spaces. So I think if you could use data science there to understand and analyze the problems, you could come up with a solution.
I will contact when you're done with that project to say which careers are in demand.
Well, it's an open source project. I'm going to make it available. It's going to be public. I'm not going to sell it, so definitely we should talk.
Please, because one of the reasons why I started this project was also to make an awareness on the careers that are in demand. Because you just choose a career when going to university just because you feel like it's easy, but then when you're done, you just sit at home with that qualification and you say there is high unemployment in South Africa, but looking at like companies like BMW, Mercedes-Benz, they're like looking for people, but they aren't people because they're not studying the right qualifications.
Exactly.
So I really like that.
Constantly, exactly. So the whole idea with this project eventually is also to like drill down. So based on your performance, like recommend things. Become a business analyst, for example.
And you, Bonga?
For me, nothing that I've started yet, but definitely something that comes to mind is giving back to the schools and the community. So I feel that I want to play that space. There's a lot of, let's say, beneficiary schools that, from an organization perspective, that we give equipment to. But I always feel that the equipment will probably just sit there. No one knows how to use it. No one knows what it means. And maybe one day you could form a career from using that equipment. So I personally want to give back to the community by going to those schools, the rural schools, and actually playing a role as an example to say, I studied IT, I'm in IT, and for me, I'm happy in IT, and I want to study more in IT. So that's what I want to.
When I go to different schools and, with people from different career paths, I'm going to call him as well. Yes, and that is true. I believe that the students that are still in high school are the future generation, and that's where the focus should go.
Exactly.
So just in closing, is there any question that you think I should have asked? And if I didn't ask, how would you have answered it?
How much are you earning?
Yes, it's the money in IT.
Money in IT.
Now you have to ask the question.
Everyone wants to know. And apparently in IT Hub, there's a lot of money. Like you guys are earning in euros. Is it true?
Euros? Wow.
Interesting. I didn't even know that. I don't know.
That's what I heard.
You take that part out.
Which part?
Earning in euros. Take that out, So you go first now that you put me on the spot.
Look, when we talk money, there's no way we can disclose how much you're earning, etc., etc.
Definitely.
But it's a career that you can definitely pursue, start your life.
And live comfortably.
And live comfortably. And so for me, I don't think you ever happy with what so
maybe by living comfortably you can drive a nice car, stay in a big house. Own a big house.
So for me, I think my career has afforded me the flexibility of balancing being a dad, being a husband, and also continue with my business ventures that I want to do.
And also studying.
And also studying as well. So with my career, I have that flexibility to actually not physically be at work 5 days of a week, but to be there on a need basis. So
yes, I actually forgot to ask the question about whether you are at work full time or you're working from home. Okay. And for you, sir?
Me? There's lots of money in IT, man. No, I'm joking. On a serious note, I don't think a person will struggle with that in IT. It's really up to you to decide how much you want to earn. So you mustn't also have a narrow focus in terms of where you work and limiting yourself to that. The space you're in software allows you to expand your wings. So you can have a core job, but at the same time consult. At the same time work on other projects. For example, you've got guys who've written software, scaled it out for people to use, and not have a day job. But that software is earning money for them as well. For example, Elon Musk wrote PayPal years ago and sold it. So, if that's your goal, to write something and sell it, you don't even need a job. So it depends on where you want to take this. I also know a few people who study computer science or IT and don't even consider applying for jobs. They want to start their own thing. And that's it.
So the knowledge that you learn from university can afford you that opportunity to start your own thing.
You can consult. You don't even have to code.
I think Bill Gates was doing computer science.
Bill Gates dropped out. He was studying computer science.
But dropping out is like final year. When people say Bill Gates dropped out, I'm just like, final year. You've already done all the basics.
And he also struggled a bit with his lecturers. At the time, computer science was still maturing. So the direction it was going to take was not really clear. So it was easier to debate with your lecturer then. And Bill Gates was known for that. So
story for another day. Okay, so thank you so much for allowing me to interview you. I actually learned a lot about IT. I'm not from IT. I do work with IT at work, but it's a different field for me. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching. Bye bye.
Thanks guys. Bye.
Thanks guys.